Hey, I'm here with a TBR for the ReReadathon number 2 that starts today and runs through the 20th of September. Basically, the idea of the ReReadathon is to pick up some of your favorite books and give them a reread. I just basically went through my shelves and found a bunch that I have read before that I would really like to reread. I'm definitely not going to get to all these, but these are the ones that I'm going to be picking from this week and next week. And probably throughout I am going to be reading some new fiction because there's just too many new books not to be reading. But these are the ones again that I'm going to be picking from. My pool of ReReadathon books, if you will. So here we go. The first one I picked out was Dead Until Dark by Charlene Harris. This is the first book in the Sookie Stackhouse series, and these are the ones who started True Blood. And I'd really like to reread these because I have kind of come into a lot of the books. I think I might have the entire collection now, except maybe one or two. I think maybe I actually have them all. I digress. I read the first one and I think the second one at some point, but then I started watching the show again and now I've kind of got them all confused. So I'd really like to go through and just kind of read them all again now in order without watching the show so I can keep them straight. So I'm thinking about possibly rereading this one. Next, I have The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Anne Brashears. I really enjoyed the series when I read it initially. I think I only got through maybe the first 3 books. So again, I'd kind of like to go back and start from the beginning to set myself up to finish out the series, especially since I just bought the 5th book in the series, which features all of these teenagers as adults. So this is one I could possibly read. Another one that was mentioned by somebody to me on Facebook the other day was The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. This is a very, very small children's book, and I remember reading this when I was younger. This is by Barbara Robinson, and I remember this being very funny and a great read, so I thought this might be a good one to look into. Another one that I read when I was very young that I'd like to reread is Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. I remember this one, and I saw the movie when it came out several years ago, and I'd really like to give it a reread. Just from talking about this with other people, I feel like I don't quite remember a lot of the details. I remember like the overall gist, but I'd like to give this one a reread. Next is The Silver Kiss by Annette Curtis Claus. Probably one of my favorite young adult books is by Annette Curtis Claus, and that is Blood and Chocolate. And I remember thinking this one was good, but not as good. And this one does feature vampires, the other one werewolves, so I'd kind of like to give this one a reread since I have read Blood and Chocolate several times since then to see what I feel about it now. So possibly a reread this time. One that I'm actually reading right now as a reread is On the Bright Side. I Am Now the Girlfriend of a Sex God. This is number 2 in the Georgia Nicholson series by Louise Renison. And if you have not yet read any of the Georgia Nicholson diaries, you need to because they are hilarious. I've read the whole series and now I'm kind of working my way back through. So yeah, I just love these. They're very fast to read because they're in a diary series or they're in a diary setup, and they're just really, really funny. That's all you need to know. Go pick them up for sure. Next, I might pick up Meg Cabot, Every Boy's Got One. I love Meg Cabot. She's probably my favorite author ever because they're just so funny and I love her writing. But anyway, this is one of the, I don't remember what they call it, like the Boys series or something. And it's kind of like The Boy Next Door, Every Boy's Got One, Boy Meets Girl, I think, so they all have like boy in the title. And these are all set up as like email conversations basically, so it's almost like a diary style, so it goes very fast. And I love her romantic comedies because the girls are likable and the boys kind of have that really sarcastic, like playful vibe that I just really love. So I love these. I think this was my favorite one of the boy series, but I haven't read it in such a long time that I thought, why not? Perfect time for the rereadathon. Next is another Meg Cabot one, and I actually have this on audiobook to listen to in my car as soon as I finish the Mindy Kaling book that I'm listening to now, and it is Insatiable by Meg Cabot, and this is kind of her vampire experience basically, and I don't remember how I felt about this. I read this several years ago, and I don't really remember one way or the other, but I know the second one is out now, so I'd really like to get back into this and see. So yeah, so that's a possibility, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to this one because, again, it is on audiobook. Next, this was what I had on my list the last time, but I didn't get to it, so I'd like to this time, especially since it is banned book week for the hashtag a yearathon. This is a banned book, so I thought it would be a nice little crossover there for the readathons. And this is The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. And I remember not wanting to read this for a class that I had. I was like, this sounds really, I don't want to read it. But I really was surprised. I really liked it, and I'd like to see how I feel about it now, several years away from it. And again, I thought it would be a nice little tie-in. This is, again, as it mentions, kind of a diary style, and there is some illustrations in it. Not many, not enough to make it like a graphic novel, but it's an interesting take. I just really liked it. So I'd like to see if I still feel the same way. And the last one that I'm thinking about maybe getting to, and this is probably one that I'm not sure I will make it in the next 2 weeks, and that is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I read this as an audiobook several years ago, and I remember having kind of mixed feelings. I was surprised by it. I didn't really expect what happened to happen. I didn't expect this type of story, but I remember liking it. And now, obviously, with the movie coming out, and I actually have the second one that I have not read yet, I thought this would be a great segue. So yeah, I think I might pick it up and kind of experience it again. So those are the books that I will be choosing from for the next 2 weeks for the ReReadathon. And again, I may be throwing in some new fiction in there as well, just to kind of start continuing again towards my TBR. We'll see. But yeah, so these are the books I think I'm going to reread. What books do you think you're going to reread if you are participating in the next 2 weeks? And even if you're not, what books are your favorites? What books would you be most willing to reread? I'm going to leave some information down at the bottom for the ReReadathon if you would like to join, which again starts today, the 7th. And yeah, let me know how it goes, and I'll see you soon. Bye!